Never fear, the XP Billionaires are here. How's everyone doing today? This is Rafe Thegrim for you guys today. I have got Sky and Irene here. Sky, how you doing today?
God, don't ask.
Yep. Full disclosure, I was sick last week. Sky is sick this week. I let's just not point any fingers at this point and move on. Irene, how are you today?
Exhausted? I'm not sick, but Melon is sick. But she's doing much better now. So slow steps, but like, oh my god, I'm just emotionally quite empty.
Oh, it's understandable. It's been a roller coaster for you for the last few weeks, but no, as long as everything's looking good, I mean, it makes it all worth it, I hope.
Yeah, she's starting to chat at me again. She's grooming. She's starting to cat a little more.
That's fantastic. Well, let's do the every so often check-in. Let's I know Irene, you've been busy, but have you been playing anything lately? Just trying to keep yourself distracted at all?
Yeah, so a friend of mine and I are going through Final Fantasy XIV together, and we just made it to Heaven's Word.
Oh, awesome.
She is tanking, I am healing. So we insta-Q, basically every time.
Yeah, that game flooded itself with DPS after Stormblood, didn't it?
Yeah, so everyone actually speculated that with Shadowbringer, Dancer was going to be a healer class, and it turns out they're doing a DPS. And from the giant rework they're doing of pretty much all the healers, it seems to me like they're not sure what to do with the healers, which is probably why Dancer's a DPS.
That's not great. Like I miss playing the game every now and again, and I mean I played DPS. That's
Mhm.
how I roll. But yeah, that's a shame.
Well, here's the thing. For Shadowbringers, the new expansion, a shit ton of classes are getting major reworks. Like Summoner's not going to work the same way anymore. Scholar's not going to work the same way anymore. A Machinist is changing completely. Like they're really going in there and like trying to streamline some stuff and make all the classes just feel fun to play. Which I'm really hoping that they nail that because that'll make it a much better game. And not that it's not great now, it's just some of the classes do feel a little old in comparison to some of the newer ones. So they're trying to bring them into line with like what they have planned for Gunbreaker and Dancer, right?
Right.
So I'm hoping that after they manage to figure out what they're doing with the healers, they'll bring out a fourth. Because right now we're 4 tanks and 3 healers, and it's unusual to have your healers and tanks out of balance in an MMO like this.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um,
Other than that, I've been playing Breath of the Wild.
Whatever keeps you occupied, definitely.
Pretty much, it's like it's portable, and I can bring it to the doctor's office.
Yeah, that helps. All right, Sky, what have you been up to lately?
Atelier Lalua is my life.
It certainly has been.
It looks cute from your screenshots.
It's amazing. It's the best Atelier game of this generation, and I would even say, the best Arland game.
Oh wow, that's saying something because you love Totori to death.
I did, but man, this game is really fantastic. I'm really close to the end now, and yeah, it's just been an amazing ride and a whole heck of a lot of fun on many different levels. So, wholeheartedly recommend.
I'm assuming with a name like Scion of Arland, we're dealing with like another generation. So like Rorona,
It's
Totori, and
Verona,
Maruru
it's
are all grown up.
Verona's Yes, it's Verona's adopted daughter.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hopefully, she's nicer to her than Roana's master was to her.
Um Verona's not the one teaching her.
Oh.
It's one of it's Piana, who was a sort of initial apprentice to Dotori.
Mm.
Yeah, Verona only comes in about halfway through the game. But yeah, no, it's been really, really good, and huge number of locations and very detailed environments. I like that they've finally put a lot more work into their environmental design, because ever since they went 3D, it's not been as detailed as I would like, and so I'm heartened to see this improvement.
You know, tangentially, um, I was listening to Podquisition the other day, and they talked about how the transition from 2D to 3D environments, like, you did lose something in the details from those two things, because you could make like a 2D environment as detailed as you wanted without a ton of investment, but then you get to 3D and it's like, oh shit, you know?
Yeah, and only now is it really starting to get a lot easier to put in all that detail.
Mm-hmm. Where you've got not only the tools, but also the graphical horsepower and textures very readily available to really create that vision, right? Shapes are no longer restricted to very strict blocks. You've got a lot more leeway and a lot more power to play with.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, as for me, I have basically had Dauntless eat my life, and I've this has been the best break between RPGs I've had in a long time. I cannot stress enough how much I've enjoyed this game. For those of you who haven't looked into it, Dauntless is basically a free-to-play Monster Hunter light that's available, and it's one of the first games to be cross-platform at launch, which I think is fantastic. I've had no shortage of being able to get players to come on and play. I've, whether or not they're good at the game is a whole nother story, but and it's been so addictive and such a fun experience that even Sky has played, and
Yep.
I never saw it coming. So I'm super excited, and honestly, this is going to probably be my Wednesday streams for the foreseeable future because I'm loving the game. It's going to be a great break. It's going to be something I can do is as I'm playing Trails of Cold Steel, which at the time of this episode coming out will have been released 3 days prior. So it's so much fun. It's colorful. It's cartoony. It's it's got a great aesthetic to it, and all of the behemoths are very, very unique and different. And as they get more challenging, they really do get more challenging. I'm currently stuck trying to kill a rift stalker right now, which is this darkness thing that creates portals and jumps through them, and then sucks you into a void where it's such a pain in the arse, but it is still so much fun to play. Even if I lose, I'm enjoying myself. So, all right. Well, that being said, let's move on to our main topic. So this is gonna be our E3 episode because we're all gamers and we should really have an E3 episode because it is what it is. Um, so yeah, with E3 right around the corner coming out next week, we're about to get hopefully some amazing video game announcements and updates. Some of these will be games we've been waiting to hear about for a long time, and I'm sure some of us will be disappointed that that special something that we've been waiting to hear more about isn't going to be shown this year. But with so much already announced and what they've got planned for this year, we can do at this point is speculate on the things that haven't been announced. So that's what I figure we'll do. Instead of speculate, let's ask the E3 gods to grant us some wishes. So we'll talk about some of our E3 wish list decisions for this year. So yeah, I can't wait to hear what everyone's decided on. And so I've got Irene rolled up first. So if you want to tell us your wishes, let's hear them.
So I'll start off with one that might be a little unexpected. I want to see more details on Persona 5 The Royal, to be honest. So far, we haven't seen a lot coming out of, like, Atlas about it, except that we know there's going to be a new party member, but does that mean they're also extending out the time, like, the actual, like, timeline? They hear they're
Yes.
adding new
Sorry,
story.
You're way behind on the details, honey.
Oh
Um,
well.
they're adding a whole new semester. There's there's new confidants. There's like look it up online. There has been way more than that announced, but
Oh,
more
cool.
details would certainly be welcome.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'd like to hear
absolutely.
like a release date, maybe like like what platforms they're planning to release it for. Because I think Switch is out of the question right now, but because they're doing the other game for the Switch.
Yes.
Um, so I'd like to hear like a timeline for that, like a rough timeline would be nice. I'd also like to see and talking about timelines, I'd like to see a fucking date for The Last of Us 2 because we've been waiting for that to come out for a while now and haven't heard a whole hell of a lot. People are starting to speculate that it's going to be like one of those cross generation titles for PS4, PS5 at this point. But since the PS5 is supposed to be backwards compatible, that's not a bad thing. I guess last on my wish list, and probably most obvious, is I'd like to hear a bit more details about Final Fantasy VII Remake. Specifically, that they're not going to make it episodic, that they're going to release a whole game and put it out for, all at once. Mainly because aside from the only obvious break they've told us about so far is that they're planning on making Midgard like the first game. Everything that happens in Midgard is going to be your first game. Fine, that's a logical endpoint. But once you get out of Midgard, the logical endpoints become a little bit more difficult to pinpoint. Because yeah, you have like spoiler alert, Ares dies. Everybody, I know it's been 20 years. Get over it. um, but like her death would also be another logical cut point. But after that, there's a lot that happens, and I'm not sure how you can cram all of it into one more installment. Like I'm thinking they probably need to do at least 4 in order to get all of the events teased out properly. Especially if they're gonna pull in some of the optional content like Wu Tai and a little bit more of Vincent's story into the base game, right?
Yeah, my wish for that, seriously, less Wu Tai, more Vincent. Like, I honestly, they could scrub Yuffie from the game, and I would be totally okay with that.
Honestly, Yuffie was not my favorite character, so rather than scrub her, I'd rather they do something with her. Actually tie her to the rest of the group. Because she was very much like on the outside looking in, rather than everybody else who had skin in the game. Everybody else had a reason to go after Sephiroth. Everybody else had a reason to actually, pursue this venture. Yuffie just kind of didn't. Also, Vincent, my biggest issue with the way they treated Vincent in the first one was he should probably never have been optional. Because if he's optional, then he's just the douchebag who stood around and kept his trap shut about vital details about Sephiroth's past that could have helped them understand him. Because he was there when Sephiroth was basically conceived.
Well,
Like,
that's exactly it. Like yeah, that's always been my biggest problem with Vincent. Not necessarily as a character, although fleshing him out would be a little better, would be nicer. And I mean, they tried to do that with Dirge of Cerberus, but at the same time, let yeah, you're absolutely right. He was never meant. He never should have been optional, and that was one of the biggest failings of the game originally that I thought.
he should definitely have been mandatory because, like, he is intrinsically, like, invested in everything that's happening in this game.
Yeah.
And yet somehow you can totally skip him. Like, it's a strange position for such a character to be in because it's not until you get towards the end of the game where you're like, holy shit, you've just like kept quiet this whole goddamn time. Because of course back then, like, you can't really make a character who's optional central to anything. You just didn't have the computing power to deal
Yeah.
with that branching path. So yeah, I'd like to see them actually like pull Vincent's story a little bit more into the game. I'd like to see them do something a little bit more connective with Yuffie. That'd be nice. Also, cut out the chocobo breeding. Like, cut it out with a fucking scalpel. A chainsaw. I don't care. Chocobo breeding was the dumbest fucking 10 hours you'd have to spend in that game. Easily. I don't want to have to breed a fucking gold chocobo just to get the best summon materia in the game. That's just, it's not worth my time.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right,
Maybe
well,
make
yeah.
it so, like, instead, do like the Final Fantasy IX approach, where they had, like, the one chocobo that you would just level up over the course of the game, and he would just get better and better and better and better. I actually really liked that. I loved my little chocobo in the Final Fantasy IX, to the point where I forgot where I parked my airship at one point, because the chocobo could fly. And I had to go back to the airship for the story, and I was like, shit, where did I leave it? Because the chocobo is just so much better than the air. Where did I leave my airship? I flew around for a fucking half hour looking for it.
Oh, jeez.
And this is the Final Fantasy IX map, so there was no beacon or anything like that to point me to. It was bad. So, like, yeah, do something like that. Anyway,
No,
sorry.
no, that's okay. But yeah, no, those are all definitely great wishes for E3, and well, at least we're gonna get something about Final Fantasy VII from it, and that's pretty much been almost guaranteed at this point. So we'll see what we get out of it.
Yeah, we've been getting like these little slow leaks or, little hints about what they're planning on doing over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, in the
So
meantime, I'll believe them when we actually see the releases. So,
that'd be
um,
nice. I mean, Square Enix very much likes to announce their projects too far in advance of when they actually release them, in my opinion.
yeah. Alrighty. Well then, let's move on to my wishes at this point. I have wishes, same as the rest of y'all. I've got two games that I'm really looking forward to seeing more information about, and I'm really hoping I do get to see them. The first one is Astral Chain. After I saw this from the one of the more recent Nintendo Directs, I have been thoroughly looking forward to seeing more about this game. We didn't get a lot of gameplay. It was more just a reveal trailer on it, but it really, really looks like it's going to be an action RPG. It was, I think it was Platinum Games that's doing it, or it was the same team
Ooh,
behind Nier.
Bayonetta too,
Uh,
as well, by the way.
yeah,
Which means expect it to
yeah,
be redonkulous.
yeah. Don't quote me on the developer, but I'm almost certain that's who it was. But basically, if you didn't see the trailer, it's basically a mixture of like modern day police force, where you have almost like a persona or a Pokemon chained to you, and you work, and it looks like you work in tandem with each other. Looks like a bit of an action RPG style game, which I don't know, something about that aesthetic just really popped, and I'm really excited to see a lot more about it. So I really want that's really a big wish for me right now, just to see what this game is going to be all about. That's number one.
I just checked. It is Platinum Games.
Was it? Perfect.
Yeah, then it's going to be absolutely bonkers. That's like their specialty.
Yeah. The next thing for me that I'm looking forward to, I already saw some information about this past week, but I'd love to see more, and that's for Digimon Survive. Basically the Digimon strategy RPG that they've been developing,
Yes,
and
please.
it looks so good. I
Yes, please.
Yeah. Basically, it's got a mix of strategy RPG and visual novel, which I know Sky, you're just gonna like drool all over that. But
It's like it was made for me.
yeah, but
This guy's like,
but
it's for me, please. Thank you.
they still haven't talked a lot about the survive mechanic that they're putting into it, where like it's gonna have some sort of, it sounds like it's gonna have some sort of permadeath mechanic into the game based on choices and things like that. So I really want to know more about what they're doing there. Yeah, give me more information about that. I know I'm probably going to have to wait for Tokyo Game Show to see a lot more of that, unless you want, I guess, want to give me a release date. But if you guys have more, please bring it out. Actually, you know what? Lastly, there's one last thing I would like to see, and it's not, I don't need to put too much info into it, but give me the release dates for the localizations of Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 remasters. Just give me my series on the PS4, please. That's all I ask for. I give me the whole thing. Let me finish. Give me a physical copy of Yakuza 5. I hate that you're digital only. Get me something tangible, please. All right. Well, that's my wish list at this point. Let's hear what Sky's looking forward to. I mean, I looked at the synopsis here. I'm looking forward to it too, but I definitely leave it to you. Go for it.
Okay. I really want to know more about Shin Megami Tensei 5. Please. We know so little. And I mean, after being disappointed by SMT4, I really want to see what they do now, revamping the formula. Please give us something concrete, Atlas/Nintendo. The other thing I really want to see at E3 is I want to watch the PC gaming show because I'm really interested in indie titles. And the indie scene's pretty exciting right now, so I'm always interested in finding out about small developers who do really good work.
I'm
I,
surprised they're not part of Nintendo's showcase, to be honest, because Nintendo's been like the Switch has been like it's currently the new home for indies these days because Steam's so crowded that it's very difficult for indies to get attention in the PC market. I suppose Epic's starting to make a difference, like turning a corner in that regard, but Epic has its own baggage.
well, and PC is still the natural home for indies in a lot of ways, including ease of development, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of indie games release on PC before they go to consoles. So,
Oh yeah, not disagreeing. I'm glad that the PC gaming show has pivoted. Have they pivoted more towards indies? That's great because I remember a few years ago when it first came out, people were like, the PC gaming show is like where I will go if I ever just want to like give up on life. It was really boring.
oh, really? Ah,
Yeah, because it focused on hardware.
yeah, it's not supposed to be only hardware, so
Yeah, that's good. That's a good pivot because I remember when it first came out, people were like, "Wow, I really didn't need to hear about a new video card for a half hour." You know?
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, other than that, I honestly don't have a ton of interest in E3 because, I mean, I'm mostly interested in Japanese games and indie titles. So,
And a lot of companies have pulled out of E3 this year.
yeah.
I suppose right now, since they're looking at like the hardware rumors about, the PS5 and the next generation means that they don't have a lot of stuff to like really plug this year in terms of games. Normally by now we know about Sony's like next big like console exclusive, right? But it's been pretty quiet. I think they're waiting for the PS5 to drop in order to start making those announcements. So like an official release date for that new hardware, and then they'll say, "Here are all of our launch titles, and hopefully they'll be good." I'm so looking forward to like if the rumor that it's backwards compatible is true, like done. I will buy that easily because like not needing another PlayStation console to play new generation games will be extremely nice.
Yeah, no, you're right. All righty. Well, those are our wishes for E3. So Yeah, so I think we'll end it off here. I'd love to hear from you guys. Tell me what you guys are looking forward to seeing at E3. You can find me on Twitter at Billionaires XP. You can also check me out on Instagram at Rafe Thegrim, all one word. And don't forget to check out my streams on Twitch, where at Wednesdays at 7 p.m. at Rafe Thegrim as well. Irene, where can everyone find you?
So I'm at irogue_XP on Twitter, and apologies for being quiet for the last couple of weeks, folks. Recently found out that my poor kitty has a very, well, severe, but very treatable chronic illness. So she's on the mend now, but for the last couple of weeks I've been running around with her, which means I haven't been tweeting my usual video game nonsense. And I also canceled last week's stream, and I'm very sorry about that. But I normally stream at irogue_XP on Twitch as well on Thursday nights at 7.
Yeah, awesome. And Sky, what about you? Where are you gonna be?
I'm Sky Knight XP on both Twitter and Twitch. I'm not normally this croaky, and I stream on Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. EST.
All right, awesome. And we'll have our transcript for the episode up within the next few days, courtesy of our XP Hobo. That'll be found on our website, xpbillionaires.wordpress.com. Also, again, if you guys like what you're listening to, please send us a donation if you can to our coffee page. That's coffee.com/xpbillionaires. All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys again after E3, but in the meantime, just keep gaming, and we'll see you next week. Take care now.
Bye!
Bye.